Om Shri Sai Ram. My dear students, in the previous class we discussed characteristics or the features of Indian Constitution. Among that we have seen and discussed two important features: fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Today we are going to see the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights. See, my dear children, if you go China, that is similar to autocratic rule. There is a party system, there is a single party system. The people are not given rights like India, because India is democratic country. In the previous session only I mentioned fundamental rights, fundamental duties are the beauty of Constitution and the beauty of the democracy. See, who is the ruler? Who is the true ruler? True ruler. The true ruler is the citizen. But in China, the true ruler, the administrator is the Communist Party. There is a single Communist Party. Today we are going to see fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are as essential as oxygen and water. Fundamental rights provided in our Constitution. Why? They provided fundamental rights to protect the social and political rights. At the same time, fundamental rights provide the social and political atmosphere which is necessary for the development of the personality of the citizens. See, to create a conducive atmosphere in a country, we need fundamental rights. They are required for a person to lead a civilized life in society. See, we are citizens, civil. To lead a civilized life, fundamental rights are most essential thing. They are also essential for the success of democracy. The success of democracy is measured in terms of liberty, the rights which the people are enjoyed, the freedom which the people are enjoyed. See, in that way, I mean how people are enjoying their rights, how people are enjoying the liberty, freedom. It matters. Where? In the democracy. That is why it is clearly said that they are also essential for the success of democracy. There means fundamental rights. There were 7 fundamental rights mentioned in the third part of our Constitution. How many? There were. However, after 44th Amendment, the right to property has been abolished. Previously, formerly, there were 7 fundamental rights. 7 ittu ಮೂಲಭೂತ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳು. Fundamental, 7 fundamental rights. But one has been removed through 44th Amendment. During the 44th Amendment, a right which is called right to property has been abolished or removed. And there are 6 fundamental rights at present. Right to equality. The first one is right to equality. Right to equality. See, in democracy, every citizen is given importance. By seeing this right, we can understand right to equality. This right is very essential for the success of democracy. Fundamental rights itself. Here, fundamental rights are very essential for the success of democracy. Among that, right to equality is very essential for the success of democracy. Under this, all citizens are equal socially, economically before the law. Socially, though there may be number of diversities, but everyone is considered, everyone is considered here without any discrimination, or considering their religion, region, culture, all are equal. Under this rights, all citizens are equal socially and economically. All are equal before the law and nobody is above the law. Nobody is above the law. All should get equal protection of the law. None should be discriminated against on the basis of their caste, color, creed, region, place of birth. No one should be discriminated on the basis of their caste, color, religion, gender, culture, place of birth. No citizen should be subjected to any restrictions with regard to access shops, public restaurants, hotels, places of public entertainments, public places of worship. See, everyone has the right to access the hotels. You can go any hotel and you can go to any public entertainment places. You can visit any public places of worship. No discrimination. No discrimination. No citizen should be subjected to any restrictions. This is come under the right to equality. You know that one of the stigma which attached to Indian society, that is untouchability. Under this right, untouchability is offense. If the people are not allowed in the name, not allowed to the hotels or motels or any restaurants or temple and place of worship, in the name of untouchability, it is an offense. It is a criminal offense. This right has enabled every citizen to get equal opportunity to join government service. If you go before 1947, all were what untouchability was there. It was not restricted. There were so many restrictions entering temples, places of worships. The lower castes were denied to enter the temple. But today, if do so, if anyone do so, they'll be eligible for or liable for the criminal offense. This is all about right to equality. Okay, now let us move to see another important fundamental rights, that is right to freedom. The second one is, how many fundamental rights are there at present? Okay, right to freedom. It is one of the important fundamental rights. See, if you see the French Revolution, why it occurred? Why did it occur? To get freedom, liberty, to uphold the liberty and freedom. It held in the year 1789. What? French Revolution. The voice echoed there were liberty and freedom. Today we are going to see freedom. What type of and what kind of freedom it refers? It is one of the important fundamental rights. And under this right, one who express his own opinion. See, in China you cannot. I am comparing this. What are the privileges you are enjoying in your country? Why this country is great? See, that is why I am telling, I am comparing. See, last year in 2020, Jack Ma, the CEO of Alibaba Group, he publicly commented and criticized the government. Then you know that government intervened all the policies of Alibaba, and he was similar it was similar to house arresting. He was in house for 5 months. Now government imposed so many restrictions on his company, and monopoly restrictive acts were passed against his company. Just imagine. But in our country, we can express our own view. We can criticize the government. We can criticize the policy of the government. If it is hampering the development of people, we can criticize. But such thing cannot happen in China. Now let us see right to freedom. It is a protective right also, and no one can be arrested without proper reason. If police comes and arrests you, it is clear violation of rules and regulation of this land. No police has a right to arrest you without reason. Just imagine. You are protected by this constitution. You are protected by your fundamental rights. ಯಾರಿಗಾದರೂ ತಾಕತ್ತುಂಟು ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ? ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಒಂದು ದಿವಸ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ವೆರಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೇ ನೀವು ಕೋರ್ಟಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. We have a very nice judiciary system in this country. Supreme Court is there. Ultimately, Supreme Court is there. It is the protector of our constitution. It is the protector of fundamental rights. ಅದು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. No state law can snatch the life and freedom of a citizen. See, once again let's go through the right to freedom. Under this right, one can express his own opinion, and he can conduct a meeting without arms. See, without arms you can conduct a meeting. One can establish organizations. One can live anywhere in India, whether he is Kannadiga or Malayali or Teluguwala or Gujarati. Gujarati can live in Karnataka. There are number of Marwadis are there. Kannadiga can live in Maharashtra. There are so many Kannadigas running hotels. See, this is country. Though there were several diversities in cultural pattern, food and dress, we are all one. Because of that only, Jawaharlal Nehru said, India is melting pot. India is melting pot. If you put Kannadiga into that pot, he becomes Indian. If you put Gujarati in that pot, he becomes Indian. See, this is the beauty of India. And one can move around the country. There is no need of visa or any other extra certifications. And no state law, that means government can snatch the life and freedom of the citizens. You can also see what image of fundamental rights like right to equality, right to freedom, right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, right to constitutional remedies, and recently one more added to this. Later we shall discuss that one also. Okay, now we are going to see right against exploitation. See, this is also very important. In so many countries, people are not able to enjoy the rights. If you go some African countries, exploitation is common. If you go some countries in Middle East Asia, there are people are exploited. Children are exploited. Women are exploited. Poor are exploited. Weak are exploited. These are all the common factors. But in India, it is not possible, because we are given right against exploitation. Right against. Now let us see today's first question. What is the aim of right against exploitation? Today's first question. The aim of this right against exploitation is to prevent exploitation of women. See? And children, poor and weak. Through this law, begging, Devadasi system, practice of sati, immoral activities and forced labor have been prohibited. See, due to gender bias, women are ill-treated. Women mean here, she is our mother, she is our sister, she is our friend. Moreover, she is a very good human being. She is known for love and compassion. But even today, the condition of woman is pathetic. She is confined only to kitchen. She is ill-treated, sexually harassed, human trafficking. These are all happening across the world. To protect women from all these ill practices, this law is very important. This right is very important. Then Devadasi system, one of the worst system, Devadasi system. Immune from Devadasi system, this law, this right against exploitation give protection. Then sati system. Immoral activities and forced labor have been prohibited. Then employment of children under 14 years of age in mining industries and dangerous occupation is punishable under law. That means child labor is prohibited through this law. See, at the age of playing, they are employed in various institutions. It is prohibited. Now, it is punishable offense. It is criminal offense. See, India is known for diversities, and here you can see various religion existing. You know that Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Judaist, Parsis, Sikh, Jainist, Buddhist, various. This is the garden of unique flowers. This means India is a garden. Here you can see various flowers like Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, Jainism, Buddhism, Zoroastrian, that means Parsi, Jews, Sikhs, various religion. But though there were many religion, we can see a unity in this country. Since India is a secular country, no religion has been given status of national religion. Citizens can accept any religion that their conscience. That means conscience dictates. Our ಮನಸ್ಸು ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಅವರು ಫಾಲೋ ಮಾಡೋದು. Conscience dictates means ಅವರ ಮನಸ್ಸು ನಿರ್ಧಾರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. Here nobody is dictating you. Your conscience. And practice it and propagate it. Citizen can accept any religion that your conscience dictates and practice it and propagate it. No one can be forced to pay taxes for the management of religious institutions. See, In the name of raising money, no religious organization has a right to collect the money from you. That means, use of religious places for political and other activities has been prohibited in this country. This is freedom of religion. Another one is cultural, educational rights. What is this cultural, educational rights? All citizens' cultural and educational rights. All citizens of the country have their own language and script, culture. It is the duty of the state to protect them. The right protects the interest of religious and linguistic minorities. See, there are so many linguistic minorities are there, religious minorities are there. It is a right, it is the right of government to protect their interest. It is not fair imposing one language. India is state or country of multi-language. ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದೇ ಭಾಷೆಯನ್ನು ಇದನ್ನೇ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ ಅದು ತಪ್ಪು. That is wrong, because we have our own culture, we have our own script. For example, Kannada. If anyone imposed to speak in other languages in Karnataka, that means you are deteriorating the culture of Karnataka, the culture scripts of Karnataka. See, it has been evolved since 2500 years. One of the classical languages. If anyone comes and you have to deal only in English or Hindi, that means it is against the right, culture and educational rights. ನೀವು ಹಿಂದಿಯೇ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು, ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷೇ ಮಾತಾಡಬೇಕು, ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ನಲ್ಲೇ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಹಿಂದಿಯಲ್ಲೇ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ that is wrong. And then the right, cultural and educational rights protects the interest of religious and linguistic minorities. No one can be denied admission in a government and aided institutions or institutions run by minorities. Yes. ನೀವು ನಮಗೆ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. You cannot say, okay, simple, out of box, through the 86th amendment to the Constitution, that in 2002, education has been made a right under Article 21A. Under this right, the state should provide compulsory and free education up to the age of 14 years. The Karnataka government has brought into practice the Right to Education Act, that means RTE, in 2009. See, another important right. Now, right to constitutional remedies. One more fundamental rights. Right to constitutional. Right to constitutional remedies. Yes, you can get remedy, parihara, remedy through the constitutional way. Your constitution has not only given the fundamental rights but also guaranteed your rights. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಬಿಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ. It is guaranteed under Article 32. Whenever the rights are violated either by person, government, state government, any person, individual or any authority, you can go to Supreme Court. You may appeal directly to the Supreme Court to protect your rights. In that way you can find the remedies. No person, whether it may be PM or CM or DG, IG, SP, DC, if anyone violated your rights, you can appeal directly to the Supreme Court to protect your rights. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has called this right the heart and the soul of the Constitution. The heart and soul of the Constitution. Who said this? Second question, today's second question. What is the opinion of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar about the right to constitutional remedies? If any individual or the government at the center, state appear to violate the person's right, he has the right to approach the court. So, the Supreme Court is empowered to enforce the fundamental rights. Hence, it is called the protector of fundamental right. Why? Third question. Why Supreme Court is called the protector of fundamental rights? Fourth one, who is called the protector of fundamental rights? To first question, why? Second one is who. Even the high courts have the power to pass writs under Article 226. Writs. Through writs, you can protect your fundamental rights. See, under Article, it has been made provision, the provision has been made under Article 226. Now, let us see some article also. One of the important articles, that is habeas corpus. Now, we are going to see the important writs. See, this is very, very important. Dear children, being a citizen of this country, we should have little knowledge about our constitution. Writs, then only we can see a successful democracy. If we are unaware of this constitutional knowledge, we cannot see a developed democracy or developed democratic country. That is why I always used to tell that we should have little knowledge about the constitution, fundamental rights, writs and fundamental duties also. The order passed by the Supreme Court, here the habeas corpus first. Habeas corpus. This is one of the writs to protect your fundamental rights. Writs. The order passed by the Supreme Court or High Court to produce a person within a specific time frame, it is called habeas corpus. What do you mean by habeas corpus? The order passed by Supreme Court or the High Court to produce a person within specified time frame is called habeas corpus. Why? If a person is absconding or even he was taken captive by he was taken captive illegally, in such a moment you can approach the you can approach the court, you can appeal the court to get back that person. This protects the individual right of the person. Second one is mandamus. Mandamus. Mandamus is another writ. When the legislature, executive or any other subordinate institution fail to perform certain duties or works, the Supreme Court or High Court can order the legislature or the executive or any subordinate or institution to perform their work. When they fail to perform their work, they means executive, legislative, subordinate institutions. In such a moment, Supreme Court or High Court pass an order to perform their works. ಅವ್ರು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇದ್ದರೆ, ಒಂದು ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಕಾನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ನ ಪ್ರಕಾರ. ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಫೇಲ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಸೊ, ಇನ್ ಸಚ್ ಎ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಇಂಟರ್ವೆನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಅಡ್ವೈಸ್ ದೆಮ್ ಟು ಡೂ ಯುವರ್ ವರ್ಕ್. That is mandamus. This order is called mandamus. But the order cannot be passed against the individual or private individual or the governor or the president. See, what do you mean by mandamus? Today's fifth question. And third writ is prohibition. Prohibition. When a subordinate court passes a judgment beyond its jurisdiction, for example, district session court is there, for example only, session court is there, district session court. For that it has its own jurisdiction. For example, what is my jurisdiction? What is the jurisdiction of Raghu T.Y., headmaster of Sri Satya Sai Loka Seva High School? I am not a headmaster to the Vittal High School or the BC Road High School. I am headmaster only for Sri Satya Sai Loka Seva High School. This is my jurisdiction. ಇದು ನನ್ನ ಕಾರ್ಯವ್ಯಾಪ್ತಿ. ಇದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮೇಲೆ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅದು ಅಧಿಕ ಪ್ರಸಂಗ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವುದಿಲ್ವಾ? Similarly, if any subordinate court passes a judgment beyond its jurisdiction or the judgment is against the sense of natural justice, the High Court pass order against such judgments. If it goes, if district session court goes beyond its jurisdiction, immediately High Court passes order against this judgment. This is called prohibition. This can be passed against the lower court by the higher court. If HC goes beyond its jurisdiction, Supreme Court will pass order. This can be passed against the lower court by the higher court. You can see the image of High Court of Karnataka. Another one is certiorari. Certiorari. Fourth writ. What is this? What does it mean? When the subordinate court pass judgment beyond the jurisdiction against the sense of natural justice or higher orders, the submission of records related to the judgment to it. See, when you see the prohibition and certiorari, there is no much difference. But here in certiorari, they are asking the records only. The higher court can order to submit the records related to the judgment. This order is called certiorari. When you see the prohibition, ಏನಪ್ಪ prohibition ಮತ್ತು certiorari difference ಅಂತ ನೀವು ಕೇಳಬಹುದು. While you asking, the difference is when you comes to certiorari, higher courts ask the lower courts to submit the records related to the judgment. ಅಷ್ಟೇ. Another one is co-warrant. Co-warrant. Fifth one. Co-warrant. The order directing the right person to occupy the right public office is called co-warrant. Suppose there is a post, Tahsildar post. For that, we cannot send a PDO. For that, one who has completed KAS is the right person to assume that power. I am telling. Here also, the order directing the right person to occupy the right public office is called co-warrant. The order is passed against the person who hold the public office illegally by the higher courts. That is, here public interest litigations can be filed in the courts in order to protect the social rights and denied to the citizens and to protect the public interest. Then public interest litigation can be filed for the purpose of protecting legal rights and rights that are essential to protect the life and protect the environment which is being polluted. These are all the facilities and the provisions which are available in our constitution. These public interest litigations can be filed by individuals and social institutions. In recent years, we see that the courts on their own are filing such public interest litigations when situation arise. This is all about fundamental rights. Dear students, you are enjoying the fundamental rights, but unknowingly you are enjoying the fundamental rights, but you don't know what fundamental rights. I hope you understood fundamental rights. Once again, you go through the video and textbook, understand better, then you can enjoy more fundamental rights. Sai Ram.